always look so edible.
Yeah, and like even.
Yeah.
No. Goodbye.
Cześć. What you've just seen was a very, very professional preparation for Regional Barista Championship in New Zealand. So this is Josh.
I'm Josh and I like making coffee.
And he will be the main character in today's video. Over the past few months, I had a pleasure to help Josh with his preparation towards New Zealand Regional Barista Championship that in Christchurch, so where we are, it's going to be organized on the 10th of March. And together with two other regionals happening, one in Auckland and one in Wellington, they are going to be the first stages of the National Barista Championship that is going to take place in October this year. Why have I decided to reactivate this channel after exactly 406 days of not posting any video here? Well, it's because I think that Josh's story is pretty beautiful, but also we both thought that having this journey being documented and shared with wider audience, there is a chance that other aspiring baristas will feel encouraged to enter a competition on their own. Or maybe just in general, they will be inspired to connect with the coffee community that they might be a part of. And I said that they might feel encouraged to enter a competition because yes, Josh is preparing for Regional Barista Championship, but it doesn't have to be the same type of competition. Just any challenge that you feel like taking on, but you are still not too sure about, this video is for you. There are people who maybe know that a competition or challenges like this are out there, but they are still reasonably new to the concept of event like this or to practicalities of entering a competition. So it all might look a little bit intimidating or mysterious for them. If you ever thought of competing or taking part in the event like this, not only as a competitor, but maybe you were thinking of judging or being a volunteer. Events like this always needs volunteers, by the way. I encourage you to watch this episode so you will have a better picture of what that competition is. And there are also two other episodes coming that I'm gonna upload within the next few weeks. Both Josh and myself wanted to be very transparent about why, what, and how we do during his preparations. And well, there is a lot to talk about, so we decided to break it down into 3 parts, 3 episodes. So today you will get a general overview of the competition, a little bit about preparations, but mainly about Josh. You will get to know him a little bit better, his background, his connection to coffee, and what strategy we decided to apply to his presentation, and how we took his particular position in the community into consideration to make it work for his benefits. The second video of this series will be mainly focusing on Josh's competition coffee. It's a coffee competition, so to be able to take part in it and to present yourself to the judges, you will have to prepare certain drinks on the stage within the 10 minutes for the regional and 15 minutes for the national competition. And that can't be just any coffee. It would have to stand out, it would have to tell a story, your story, and it would also have to meet particular attributes that reflect so-called specialty coffee. We will explain in this next video how we decided what beans would be the best for Josh, where we got that coffee from, and we will also introduce a person who will be standing behind roasting the coffee and helping Josh get the best out of the beans that's possible. And we will also touch on the matter on how that coffee will have a connection with a wider audience, day-to-day coffee consumers as well. And the last of the series will be focusing mainly on the presentation, what Josh is going to say, and the competition itself. We have exactly 2 months between now and still after the competition, so anything that will be happening in that period we will include in the video. We will bring closer the brands and people who decided to support Josh on his journey, what were their roles and how that affected Josh's presentation. I would also like to ask Josh several questions after the competition to see what he feels about the journey and what are his thoughts on the competition and what are his next steps to take. In general, I would like it to be an example of an advice that you can be given if you are thinking of participating in the competitions like this. So without further ado, I think it's time to meet Josh. I've prepared a few questions for him that he answered after one of our sessions. I apologize in advance for not having the questions that I was asking behind the camera sounding really well. We had only one microphone and it was more important for Josh to have it. You will have the questions, in case you can't really hear it properly, written on the screen as well. Let's go. Okay, so the first question, Josh, is... Hold on.
You are recording?
We are recording now. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Joshua Peacock, that's my full name. I'm 21 and a student at the University of Canterbury studying mechatronics engineering. If you don't know what mechatronics engineering is, that's fine. It's kind of half mechanical, half electrical. The reason why I'm here is I really like making coffee. Coffee's really fun, and I am the founder and current president of Coffee Sock, the specialty coffee club at the University of Canterbury.
What do you do in that club? What is your role and what's the purpose?
Yeah, so I'm the president, which means I'm the face and the person behind the whole club. I talk to different roasters all around the country. I mostly keep it to New Zealand roasters. I really like supporting the local scene, and we hang out on a Saturday. Every Saturday morning we drink, brew and talk all about coffee and how amazing it is.
Tell me, how did you get engaged with wider specialty coffee industry in New Zealand?
I guess like within the local scene, I really got involved through Coffee Sock. I got in touch with a lot of local roasters through that, talking to them and getting them to give me coffee essentially. From that, I found out about the New Zealand Specialty Coffee Association, and through that, stars aligned basically, where I was visiting my parents in Tauranga and the New Zealand Cup Tasters 2022 was happening, and it's close enough where I decided, oh, I'll help out, volunteer. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of wonderful people there.
How did the idea of the championship and you participate in the championship came about?
Following on from having volunteered at the Cup Tasters, I also then decided to volunteer at the New Zealand Barista Champs of that year. That really exposed me to like the higher level of the championships, and a lot of the people I met there serve as quite strong inspiration for me. And now that this year in 2024, we're coming into regionals, I find myself, I'm in quite a unique position within this kind of specialty coffee community. As someone who isn't a professional in the industry, I think I have some valuable things to say to might shape the next future of specialty coffee.
How did the preparation start?
We were at Latte Art Cup Tasters for 2023. By we, I mean the person you're probably watching this, I'm assuming it's a reel from Coffee That Gives a Puck, Mihelina. YouTube video, okay, it's a YouTube video. As well as Jason from Vanguard Coffee, they got in contact with me, offering the opportunity to both Mihelina will be coaching and Jason will be roasting for me. That provides a really good opportunity for me to start getting into it. That's kind of kicked it off.
And what are the highlights and challenges that you have encountered so far during the preparations? Let's start from the
highlights. Yeah, highlights for me has definitely been the support I've received, like almost overwhelmingly so. It's been quite rewarding to see a lot of the efforts I've put in through the club really come back to me now, where I've got an incredible amount of sponsors and people who want to help me, and that's been really cool to see. And I'm really, really thankful that Barista Champs isn't a one-person kind of thing. It's all about a team. So I'm glad that to build a team for myself has been really easy, and people have kind of thrown themselves at me. That's been really, really great. Challenges. I'm coming from someone who has maybe made 5 espressos before starting training, which basically means I know absolutely nothing about it. So while I do have a lot of knowledge from filter coffee, and a lot of that does carry over, there've been a lot of challenges around actually figuring out what should I be doing behind the bar, what should my hands be doing, and then identifying what works in practice might not work on stage, or probably more critically, behind the bar, because there are some things that can make simpler now but won't work if it was behind the bar.
And just to quickly to explain to the viewers, what do you actually need to do on the stage?
For the regional barista champs, there are 2 stages to the whole competition. There's the espresso preparation and the milk beverage. So you have to prepare 4 espressos and 4 milk beverages over a span of 10 minutes to 4 sensory judges. You're also scored on your technical ability. So that's how clean your station is. Are you properly doing the right steps that a barista should be doing to make sure that they're serving good coffee? And usually along with these champs, the barista will have something to say, so that it's not just like you sit behind the bar, you make coffees. It's kind of half master chef, half public speaking in that aspect.
Which aspect of coffee preparation did you find the most difficult?
It's definitely latte art, and I was just like the milk section of it in general. It's because I'm definitely starting from the ground up in that aspect. Actually steaming and then pouring milk is quite a time sensitive process. It's not like I can stop and then think what I'm going to do next and then do it. It's very much like you have to plan in your head the entire process and go through with that. And because I haven't actually had any experience with milk and milk steaming and pouring yet, I don't know what that plan in my head should be. So it's been a lot of figuring that out and a lot of practice, but we're getting there.
Do you have any strategy for controlling your stress on the stage?
I don't think it's necessarily about what I'll be doing on stage, I think. I find myself to be quite a natural public speaker. That's why I've been able to actually form the club and to talk to people to do that. I've put myself already in stressful scenarios of basically asking people, oh, please give the club coffees. So I have a lot of experience behind talking in front of a stage, and I think that's probably the most valuable aspect that will come into play with the competition. I'm not afraid of people. I think I've already made coffee in front of people. I've already done a lot of practice that isn't necessarily my routine, but just talking to people, being in front of a crowd. So that's never scared me.
Do you have any advices for other aspiring baristas who are thinking of entering the competition like this?
Absolutely. I think the key thing, I think people will tell you just do it, and it doesn't really help, to be honest. There's a lot of people who want to help you, and I think you need to identify those people. Again, it's not just a one-person thing, these championships. You have to be in a team. So there's people all around your local community who will want to help you, and they'll probably be more or less honored to actually be able to help out, whether that's your coffee roaster or a coach, which is like a barista you always talk with, or green coffee sponsors, or even cup sponsors. There's a lot of people who are really, really willing to help out. So as an aspiring barista, I think what's most key is you need to talk to them, and don't be scared to talk to them.
As we document your journey, what do you hope for the viewers to get out of the video?
What I find within specialty coffee at the moment is very much a community for professionals. I don't think there's been a single person I've talked to in these barista champs, latte art champs, cup tasters, who hasn't worked in coffee aside from me, or like, oh, I had some previous coffee experience, that's why I stay in it. What I want to get out is the people who do have a hobby in coffee, they're really into it. And I know people are out there, and I want you to understand that we are there for you, and you can join the community. It's a lot of fun being part of the specialty coffee community. At least I think it's fun. I've had a lot of fun in it.
Reach out if you have any questions. Reach out if you have any questions. Right, so I think that Josh summarized everything pretty well. Of course, there will be many questions that you might have. So for that, you have the comment section. If there's anything that I would like to add to what Josh was saying, is maybe explain a little bit more about what I wanted Josh to learn. For me, it was very important to make him a barista who, if he was to jump behind the machine in a very busy coffee shop, he would be capable of helping the rest of the team with their regular workflow. The purpose, the goal of the Barista Championship is to find a person who would be a great ambassador of specialty coffee and a great ambassador of all the baristas everywhere. And for that, you would have to have the knowledge of how to work in the coffee place, in the coffee shop, because it's not only about coffee preparation and coffee knowledge, but also hospitality, about being able to multitask on a very busy day. And I wanted Josh to have all those skills. We were not working only on the competition coffee. Majority of our first sessions were focused on working with actually pretty average beans, having all the possible scenarios talked through and experienced. Josh has a general knowledge about coffee, but he was never put in a position when he would have to open a coffee shop and he would have a, let's say, not very fresh beans on the grinder to make a recipe for, so then he can serve that to customers. I'm not saying that that's what's happening everywhere or it should be happening, but it is the case. The reality is that we don't always have the most superb beans on the grinder, or sometimes there might be some technical problem, or customers, they all have their preferences. And I wanted Josh to be able to find solutions for each of those problems. So we were working on very, very light single origin coffees. We would have a session with some errors of the coffee machine. All the little things like this build up barista's experience in general. I would let him make a lot of mistakes so he would know exactly what happens when things are not done properly. That partially also is preparing him for the presentation on the competition as well, because we might have a plan, the script and the presentation, the choreography behind the machine, everything might be prepared in advance, but life is life and sometimes things happen. To be able to quickly find a solution on the stage, Josh would have to know what are the possible scenarios that he would have to overcome. Also, during the presentation, barista has to explain to judges what coffees he's using and what are those coffees' attributes. And by this, I mean, what are the levels of acidity, sweetness, bitterness, what are the flavor notes, aftertaste, mouthfeel. And not only he would have to tell them that this particular coffee that he's serving them tastes like that, but the judge's job is to recognize whether whatever the barista is saying is reflected in the coffee. For that reason, the barista would have to develop a pretty strong sensory skills to be able to describe the coffee before the presentation, during the presentation, and make sure that he will have the points for the coffee as the coffee deserves. So one of the points of our preparations was also training the sensory skills. We would have different type of coffees, not only the particular competition coffee, but also just so Josh would have something to compare his coffee with. We would have a cuppings or tasting sessions that he would have to describe the attributes that he experiences. Even before he decided on doing the Barista Championship, he was very happy to participate in any tasting, any cuppings that were happening around. He would also participate in the several sensory skills workshops that I've organized. So he already had some foundation, but I really wanted to be sure that he feels confident enough of knowing exactly what his coffee is presenting to the judges. Right, I think that will do for now, since we have another 2 episodes. If I missed anything or if Josh missed anything, let us know. Like I said, the comment section is for you. You know where to find us, and I hope you enjoyed that little session number 1. The entries for the Regional New Zealand Barista Championships close on the 8th of February, so you will still have over a month to think about it, maybe to reach out to people who you think might help you with the journey. 2 months for the Regional Barista Championship, it's still a lot of time, so I encourage you to do so. There's so much you can learn as a barista, but also as a person. Even if something won't go according to the plan that you had, you will learn some lesson for the future. Just give it a shot. Peace and coffee.